I get it. You're scrolling through endless specs, watching video after video of people trumpeting numbers, and still wondering whether a monster-grade PC is really the right fit for you. Maybe you've been eyeing a couple of high-end rigs, but the price tags are making you nervous. Is the extra cash really going to translate into smoother 4K gaming sessions, faster neural network training, or snappier video renders? If you've been comparing options and still are not sure which one actually makes sense, this review should clear that up. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I spent a solid day digging through forum threads, reading the tech community chatter, and cross-checking the specs with real-world workflow demands. So let's break down what the NOVATECH Apex AI Workstation and gaming PC actually delivers, and who should or shouldn't spend their budget on it. First off, the headline combo is impressive: an AMD Ryzen 9 9950X 3D CPU, RTX 5080 GPU, 64GB of DDR56000 RAM, and a 2TB SSD. On paper, that looks like a beast built for both AI research and next-gen gaming. But the real question is how those pieces behave together when you, for example, fire up Blender for a massive architectural model, then jump into a 4K esports title an hour later. In practice, the CPU's three-dimensional V-cache really shines during heavy parallel workloads. Think training a transformer model or running a Monte Carlo simulation. I saw users on Reddit report training times dropping by roughly 20% compared to a standard Ryzen 9 7950X, thanks to that extra cache layer feeding the cores more efficiently. That translates into tangible time savings for data scientists who are juggling multiple experiments a day. For gamers, the RTX 5080 is the newer sibling of the RTX 4090 family, offering a full 16GB of GDDR6X memory and the latest ray tracing cores. When you launch a 4K title like Cyberpunk 2077 with ultra settings, the frame rates stay comfortably above 60 frames per second, and there's hardly any stutter when you switch between intense gunfights and cinematic cutscenes. The GPU also supports DLSS 3, which means the AI upscaler can keep performance smooth without sacrificing visual fidelity. Perfect for anyone who wants a buttery smooth experience without constantly dialing down settings. Now, let's talk about the storage and memory. The 2TB NVMe SSD hits read speeds in the 7000 MB per second range, so loading massive datasets or game worlds takes seconds, not minutes. Pair that with the 64GB of DDR56000 memory, and you've got plenty of headroom for multitasking. In a typical workflow, I examined a content creator who alternates between Adobe Premiere, DaVinci Resolve, and a handful of 3D rendering apps. The system never ran into a memory bottleneck. The extra RAM is especially handy when you need to keep multiple large projects open at once, like a 12-track audio session while a 8K video render is still processing in the background. But there are trade-offs worth noting. The chassis, while functional, isn't the flashiest. It's a utilitarian metal case with a single front fan and a modest rear exhaust. That design keeps the cost down, but it also means the machine runs a bit louder under full load. If you plan to keep the PC in a quiet home office or a streaming setup where background noise is a concern, you'll probably want to invest in aftermarket acoustic fans or a larger liquid cooling loop. The stock cooling solution does keep the CPU temps under control, usually hovering around 70 C during heavy AI workloads, but the fan whistle becomes noticeable after an hour of non-stop gaming. Another subtle point is upgradability. The motherboard is a high-end AM5 platform, so future CPU upgrades are theoretically straightforward. However, the internal layout is dense, and fitting larger aftermarket coolers or additional storage drives can be a squeeze. If you're the type who loves swapping components every few years, you might need to plan a bit more carefully compared to a more spacious tower. For most users, the existing configuration, two 2.5-inch slots and a single M.2 slot covers everyday needs, but power users looking to add, say, a second 4TB NVMe drive for massive raw datasets should double-check clearance before ordering. Who should definitely consider the Apex AI? If you're a researcher or data scientist who routinely trains medium-sized models and wants to cut down iteration time, The combination of the 3D V-Cache CPU and RTX 5080's tensor cores is a genuine productivity boost. The same applies to freelance 3D artists, VFX professionals, and indie game developers who need a workstation that can render high-poly scenes while still delivering real-time previews. For gamers who want a future-proof rig that can handle 4K esports, VR, and the latest ray-traced titles without a second thought, this machine checks all the boxes. On the flip side, if your primary use case is light photo editing, casual gaming, or you only need a laptop for travel, the Apex AI is overkill. The price point lands you in the premium bracket, so spending on a build that vastly exceeds your needs will feel wasteful. Likewise, if you're a budget-conscious student who's just starting to dabble in machine learning, there are more modest workstations that can handle smaller datasets at a fraction of the cost. The Apexes.